Thank you so much for watching Riff TV. Now, this interview is obviously with video, but I don't interview everybody on Zoom. That's why I put it on my Talkin' Rock with Meltdown podcast. We talk to rock artists from all over the genre. So check out Talkin' Rock with Meltdown wherever you get your podcasts. And now to today's video interview. Hey, first of all, Jesse, I think I was remiss. I don't know if I sent you a birthday text this year, but happy belated birthday in case I didn't.
Well, I forgot to put the Riff logo in the video, so we're even.
There you go. I don't know if that was your fault. You blamed it on your production guy.
Well, at the end of the day, I take full responsibility for everything. I mean, it still falls back on me, and that attention to detail bit me on the ass on that when I actually went to great lengths to send a very detailed list of all the stations that have been important to me, and I just assumed that they all got put in. I didn't realize that the editor, who doesn't really understand the relationships at radio and how the value of them, he made an executive decision to omit some of them. And I was like, oh my God, because I have you're not the only one that's given me a rash of mess about it. So, and deservedly so. That just means I'll have to make a complete Riff video for the next song.
No worries. Yeah, by the way, you're talking about the new song on Never Gets Old. In the video, you texted me. You're like, can you spot all 32 band fonts? You guys are doing a contest with that. Is that still going or is that over?
No, it wraps up at like coming up here in the middle of this month, another couple of weeks. But yeah, you go to James Dupree on YouTube and you pull up the song Never Gets Old, which is a song I'm very proud of. I wrote it with Brian Johnson from AC/DC. My son Nigel's playing drums on it. He's just a phenomenal drummer. And Roman Glick, my brother, my best friend. And it's just, that's the best kind of music, is when something comes together completely unplanned and organically. I mean, think about over the years, probably some of your best radio ever was things that happened that you did not plan on.
Right.
I mean, that one time that Kid Rock shows up and did this, or that one time that you found yourself at this hockey player's house, or whatever, the things that you're passionate about. And this is a situation where, I've been doing interviews, and I've been asking the people that have been interviewing me. I asked them a question. I don't have to ask you this question because you do this all the time. The question that I asked is, when was the last time you put on an album and listened to it? You listen to it from front to back. Yeah. And you do that all the time. I know you do.
Yeah.
And I've got, I got another way I'll make it up to you that I've slipped out on the lyric video for the Riff logo, but I'm going to make sure that you get one of these. I got a very limited run of vinyl that we're going to be releasing. The record comes out November the 10th, and we're doing a limited run of vinyl. And I just got the test pressing just this past week. And I'm in my office going through hard drives and stuff, but look at that. Can you, where is it? Let me see. There's that turntable.
Oh, there it is.
There's the turntable right there, and that's the test. That's the test pressing of the record, and I'm so proud of it. And it's been a long time since I dropped the needle, on an album. Admittedly, I used to have a turntable, and like everything else, I think it's made its way to Nashville, Tennessee, where my son lives. I think, and so I had to go buy me another turntable, and. But the album came out of me I felt guilty. And every time you've ever mentioned that you listen to vinyl, and I've seen, photos and videos of your turntable spinning and such. And in the back of my mind, I feel guilty because I had not listened to a record in a long time. And I pulled out the old AC/DC High Voltage album, and I listened to it twice, and from front to back. Then I listened to Highway to Hell. Then I listened to Back in Black. And then I went to dinner. And I didn't think nothing else about it. I just went to dinner, and I enjoyed, and I was proud of myself because I'd listened to some music. I was in an AC/DC frame of mind, and I celebrated those fundamentals of rock and roll, and I cranked it up. I went to dinner, I forgot about it. The next day I wake up, and I had some song in my head. I'm going, what album is that off of, And I go back through those albums, and I couldn't find it. Then I realized, I guess I was just influenced.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there on my phone, with a recording on my phone, I had it on video, and I was recording these ideas so that I didn't forget the ideas. And I kid you not, could not have been scripted any better. Nigel walks in the door, and he lives up in Nashville, where you go all the time and party, I know. And so he lives up in Nashville, and I'm in Atlanta. And he came in. I said, "What are you doing home?" He said, "I came to get a free meal because he's a starving musician, but we feed him, right?" Right. And so he comes in, and I said, "Go lace up the drums." And so I called Roman. I said, "Roman, Glick, get over here, bring your bass. Let's do this." So Nigel's standing there with his sticks in his hand. Roman's got his bass around his neck. Jeff Tomei, who's my partner in the studio, he recorded Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dreams, Matchbox 20's first two records, Jerry Cantrell, Alice in Chains. I mean, he's recorded everybody. And we go blasting in the studio, and he's going, "Oh, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And we just kind of took over. And 2 days later, we had a mess of songs. I mean, like a bunch of songs. And I still wasn't planning on doing anything with it. It just happened. And I enjoyed playing with my brother, Roman, and my son, Nigel, you know. And then I had not spoken to Brian Johnson from AC/DC in about 6 months, maybe 7. And that Friday, because Brian had called me about 6, 7 months ago, wanting to go to dinner. He was in Atlanta, and I was out of town. So I was sad I missed that. But 3 days after we cut this stuff, the phone rings. "Hey, Jesse, how you doing, me son?" And he goes, "I'm drinking some of your whiskey." And it was like, "Oh man, this is really cool." And so we sit there and talked about whiskey. And a buddy of his was over. They just had dinner, and we talked about whiskey. And I said, "Well, look, I wasn't going to be that guy. I wasn't going to call you, but since you called me, I've got some songs you got to help me write." He said, "Send them down. I got a whole notebook." And so next thing I know, I'm writing songs with Brian Johnson from AC/DC, which I've done before. I mean, nobody in AC/DC, nobody in that band really ever works outside their band. So it doesn't get past me that, that he takes me into his confidence and trust that, that we write stuff that we both are proud of. And he gets so excited, Meltdown. I mean, he just gets so jacked up. So we're going back and forth. And I was on a corporate call with the Harley-Davidson Motor Company, and I look down and the phone's ringing, and it's on silent mode, but it's saying Brian Johnson. So I had to step out of that meeting, and because when Brian calls, you don't miss that. So I stepped out, and when we get together here in a couple of weeks at the machine shop, because I hope you'll be coming up to that show. When we get together, I'll play you this because I've recorded the whole thing because I didn't want to lose any ideas. And so I'm recording the call, and he starts making excuses for an idea he's going to tell me, but he wouldn't tell me the idea. He's like, "I don't know, you may not like it." And he's just kind of, and I said, "Just tell me what it is." And he says, "Do you remember what the Marines used to say?" Now, this is the guy that sang Back in Black, right? And shook me all night long and stuff. Right. And he starts singing these funny Marine Corps marches. When the Marines are marching, "Well, I don't know, but I've been told Eskimo is mighty cold," and just all those things. And I'm just dying. I mean, because if you'd have told me when I camped out for 2 nights to get Back in Black tickets that he was going to call and sing the Marine chants, with all those funny, dirty backsides that they would say. And so he said, "So I'm thinking we change it up a bit." He said, "The drums go, doom, stop." He goes, "Well, I don't know, but I've been told it never gets old singing rock and roll." Yeah. And that just blew me away because it's so just straight AC/DC to the point, and so we wrote that song, and then we worked together on some more stuff. He sent me a song called "Rappa da Papa" that's about the Pope. And we recorded that, and he actually written it with a guy named Jimmy Nail, who's a famous English actor. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, so the record's just you can just tell we had a blast, and I can't wait for you to hear I'm sure you'll get a copy of it before anybody else does, but it's something I'm about to bust at the seams. But the single "Never Gets Old" is out now.
Right, that's out. So the record drops, Breathing Fire drops on the 10th of November. Here's my question. It's not a Jackyl record. I don't think it's a Jesse James solo album. What exactly is it?
Well, it's under my name.
Okay.
Just for the sake of people going and finding it at jessejamesdupree.com. But make no mistake about it, Roman and Nigel are the stars of this thing. I mean, the groove they lay down. Nigel's just an old soul. The way he plays is just perfect for these songs. Jackyl could have cut these tracks. They would have been great. And there would have been nothing wrong with it, but it just wasn't planned. This happened. And when you when you come across the Grand Canyon or whatever, or something that just organically is there, you don't go and say, well, let's fill it in with sand and have a volleyball court. You acknowledge the Grand Canyon for what it is, right? And so anyway, so it's something that happened organically, and I'm not sorry for it. And I cannot wait for everybody to get a hold of it.
And of course, I guess when you come to the machine shop or do some of your shows this winter, you'll be playing tracks off of it.
I don't know if Jackyl's going. I mean, I don't know. I hadn't even crossed that bridge. It'd be great if Jackyl wants to play. But I'm going to be going. I'll tell you this. I'm going to go out and play some dates with Nigel and Roman.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, seriously, it's. It's so much fun playing with your son, Yeah. And Jackyl's still got a bunch of dates. Nothing's happening with Jackyl as far as us not. We're not breaking up. I mean, I've done solo records before, and Jeff and Chris are working on some stuff now too. So I mean, Roman makes watches. I mean, nobody gets upset because Roman's making a watch.
He's making watches. I got to talk to him about that. I want a Roman Glick watch.
Yeah, I think it's a Juton. Juton. You can go on my Instagram page, Jesse James Dupree Instagram page, and look at one of my post that I'd done. It's probably about a couple of 3-4 down or whatever. You can find it that Roman came in. Let's see. Yeah, yes, Jotun. Okay. If you want to check it out online, go to Instagram. It's at JOTUN_watch_company, and you can see these watches. I mean, see those watches?
Yeah. I saw them real fast.
Yeah, badass watches.
Watches that you're making.
Yeah.
I gotta go check it. Sure. You just mentioned working with Nigel. I was always, when my son was playing hockey as a kid, I always couldn't wait till the time that came when I could play with him. He could play with me. Now, of course, he's much better than I am. But playing with Nigel, I mean, you've done this before, but it's got to be special every time, right?
It is. I mean, it's funny because, when you get into an argument with your band member, you can throw the middle fingers and raise hell and walk away or whatever. But, you get into a disagreement on where something should go with your son, and you can argue about it, whatever, or you can have a heated discussion about it. But it's different when it gets to the point where he throws the sticks down and go, Dad. that takes it to another place when he says, Dad. But that didn't happen on this record. Trust me, I was just holding on because him and Roman were killing it.
Yeah. So are you going to bring another guitar player with you, or just going to be the three of you guys?
Yeah, probably we'll find another guitar. If you know any great guitar players, let me know.
I
should find the right guy to help, just capture what we recorded, because I definitely laid down but it's seriously, it's 2 guitar tracks. I mean, there's a guitar on the left, a guitar on the right, and drums and bass and vocal. I mean, when you hear it, if you put it on stereo and put your headphones on, you'll hear it's not a polished. I mean, it's a very full, beautiful tones. I mean, I used an old amplifier. I did not even use a preamp on. There's no distortion. It's just volume, and it sounds like the guitar was just filling up the room. And there's a mic on the cabinet and just a mic out in the room, just capturing just the essence of what a real, true, gritty rock amp sounds like. A 1972 SG. Much like what Angus plays through this beautiful Fender Tone Master head with no preamp. And it sounds so rich. And we mic the drums and put the kick drum on the outside of the mic, the microphone on the outside of the kick drum, and just made it like they used to make records when the sounds were great. There's so many people, every record you're hearing now, probably every single one of them you'll play today, for the most part, are Pro Tool to death.
Right.
And I don't say that disrespectfully, because it's the way of the future. I mean, it's like, why aren't you using a rotary dial phone? Well, it's because you got these. So people use Pro Tools, and it's hard not to use Pro Tools because you can fix it in the mix. There's so many things you can do. I mean, you don't even have to worry about what amp you play or even the drum sounds, because you can put samples and I want to put so-and-so's drum sound on here. Whatever. It's like, you know, and that's the way so much of it's made like that these days. But this record wasn't. This record is what you hear is what you get, and it's so pure, and it sounds like vinyl.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big, huge vinyl fan, as you can tell. I've got all the stuff. But yeah, Breathing Fire, that comes out November 10th. I wanted to ask you about a few other things here real fast. I texted you a few weeks ago. I was watching that wrestling documentary on Netflix, and Everyone's a Winner starts playing in the background. Did you know about that? Do people contact you about that kind of stuff?
Was it our version of it?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I think so. I don't know if it got to the vocals, but I heard this guitar riff, and I'm like, that sounds familiar. That's why I texted you about that.
Yeah, that was originally a Hot Chocolate song, and they had a song called "You Sexy Thing," and "Everyone's a Winner" was a Hot Chocolate song. That was like a '70s kind of a disco era groove, and I mean, that's a badass song.
Yeah, maybe it was theirs. I don't know. Maybe that's just where I heard it, and I didn't realize that was a cover.
Yeah, and you know what? I went and looked after you brought it to my attention, and if you look like on Spotify, "Everyone's a Winner" is like up in our top 10 of songs that Jackyl has recorded. I mean, it's somehow or another found its way to for people that had found it, because it was just an album track off of one of the last few records, and I can't remember which album it was on, but it's taken off with people finding it. I mean, a great song is a great song.
That record right there.
Yeah. So it's a great song. It's just a great song. Hot Chocolate wrote a damn good one there.
Yeah. So speaking of some of your top songs, obviously Lumberjack. I mean, you guys closed with that, probably the biggest song in your career. And I've never asked you about this, and I don't know why. I kept forgetting to ask you about this, but did you see the Dave Grohl movie Studio 666 and the use of your song?
Yeah, they reached out and went through our publisher to get that. And by the way, I was just, when I was looking at that, "I Stand Alone" is the number one played, with millions, almost 12 million spins on it or something, or streams just on like Spotify. It's I mean, that's probably that's the top Jackyl song. Okay. And then you get into "When Will It Rain" and all that, but the Lumberjack is definitely, that first album is another example of, so many people, they just know every word to every song, because that from front to back, that album it's a solid album, and very proud of it. And we were, I mean, God, the Riff radio station played "I Stand Alone," "Down on Me," "The Lumberjack," "When Will It Rain," "Dirty Little Mind." I mean, you guys played every one of them. You might have played Back Off Broad, but y'all played half that album as singles.
Well, I was back in Buffalo when the record first came out. I came here in the mid '90s, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Riff played all that stuff, but I did back in Buffalo, played all those songs.
Yeah, and those songs are still like, when you got an album where literally half of the album is released as singles. I mean, that was
that time in the music industry for a record like a straight ahead rock album to do so well.
Yeah, we were definitely the odd man out with, because we were in the middle of the whole Seattle thing that was blowing up. I mean, we came out right alongside Nirvana and Soundgarden and Stone Temple Pilots and Brendan O'Brien had produced our first album, and then he produced Stone Temple Pilots, and John Colodner at Geffen Records was absolutely adamant and insistent that our record goes gold first, so that we could give Brendan his first gold record for producing.
Right. Yeah. You were telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah. And but yeah, we were right in the middle of all that, the alternative and the grunge and the music that was, that was kind of anti what we were. I mean, we were in a band, our philosophy is look at me, let's it's showtime, and come and be part of the show. We're all going to show our ass, all 10,000 of you. And, it's not about coming to see the show. It's about coming to be part of the show. Mm-hmm. And we were in the middle of a whole bunch of bands that had a wall between them and the audience, and they were staring at their feet.
Yeah.
And, kind of dark and broody and, wearing a flannel shirt and everything, which I wear flannel too, because a lumberjack wears flannel, right? But it was just it was a different time. And listen, we were on the same label with Nirvana. I'm not, so that no one thinks I'm slagging. I'm not slagging on it. It was just a different era that was coming out. But to your point, we found our niche, and we're still going strong today, very strong. And but the guys in Nirvana, we were on the same label. They came out to see us when we played Seattle, and we broke into I Stand Alone, and they started slam dancing. And the security guards grabbed them and threw them out.
All three of the guys were there?
They were there, yeah. They threw them out with four of them because Courtney Love was there.
Oh, okay, wow.
And they threw them out. And during the song, I'm yelling at the stage manager, to go let Nirvana back in the side door. And so he goes and lets Nirvana back in, and they hung on the side of the stage. And then at the end of the night, we were back in and they were drinking draft beer out of gallon milk jug. And I'll never forget that. They had a gallon milk jug that was full of beer. And Kurt was sitting in Courtney's lap like a child, and we literally had to help him get to the car and stuff. I mean, they partied their ass off.
And this was after Teen Spirit had taken off and all that stuff?
No, this one, we came out around the same time. I mean, our album, not 1992, right?
I wasn't sure when you made your way through Seattle if they were already becoming a success, but they were just starting out too.
We were all just kind of starting. They definitely were not. They were just starting to have a little taste of it. So were we,
Yeah. So back to the Studio 666 though. I've watched tons of horror movies. I'm a horror movie fanatic, but that had to be the most grisly death I've ever seen in a horror movie. And you still haven't told me if you've even watched it yet.
I've seen the scene.
Okay.
But because they had, the publishers have to approve all this stuff and everything. And I'm proud, I appreciate, Dave obviously is hands-on with everything he does. So, I thought it was a great placement, and we're proud to be part of it. And he's what an incredible, I don't even have to say it. I mean, he's an incredible talent, and I'm proud of him, man. And when you see somebody that takes a negative adverse situation and turns it into something positive, that's what you got to do. And I'm proud of him for that. Again, I don't know Dave, we don't go eat barbecue together, but I'm proud of him, just because of the history that we had in the early days together.
Yeah. So final thing here for you, Harley Davidson, tell everybody what you're doing with the Harley Davidson company. You got anything that you can reveal, anything going on with what you're doing, or?
Well, we just finished our last for this year. For 2023, we just finished our last Rolling USA campaign, which was Rolling Arkansas.
Okay.
So we do enrolling Daytonas every March, then Laconia's in June, then we have Sturgis in Milwaukee, the big anniversary show in Milwaukee, and then of course Arkansas, which is where the Pig Trail is. If you've never ridden the Pig Trail in Arkansas, it's a beautiful ride. Yeah, you come around these corners about down, and you look it over just 100 miles of just valley. It's just absolutely beautiful. But anyway, it's one of those deals that I'm proud to be working with the motor company. I gave away my 18th Harley Davidson motorcycle on stage. They get if we do these campaigns, rollingusa.com is where the host website is, and people would go and find the participating dealership. They go into the dealership and they register to win, and they go back into the dealership to increase their chances to win. And then a couple of weeks before whatever event we're going to be playing, like Daytona, we'll pick 10 qualifiers. In the 10 qualifiers, I'll bring them out on stage during the Jackyl show, roll the motorcycle out there, and whichever one of them's key unlocks the forks and cranks, it wins a brand new motorcycle.
Nice.
Yeah. And I have to give you back that $100 you gave me to try to shoe you in as a winner, but because I just couldn't bring myself to cheat like that. But you did try. So I give you credit for that.
You can't bust a guy for trying. Yeah, my new Harley Davidson I just absolutely love. I think I put 4,000 miles on it since I got it in mid-July. But Jesse, we'll see you coming up here. Breathing Fire comes out, like I said, November 10th, and we'll see you up here at the world famous Machine Shop. I should have wore a Machine Shop shirt today.
Kevin Zink reached out to me and he said, "Hey, can you give me a quote for the Machine Shop book? We're going to put out a book, and I'd like to have a deck for the agents and stuff. Could you give it to, a nice quote for it?" And I said, "Sure." And I replied back, "I wouldn't play that dump for all the money in the but and he said, "Oh, great." He said, "That's great." And I said, "Yeah." I said, maybe a little much, So You know, what I said was a venue is a reflection of who runs it, who owns it, and the people that are working there. And they've got the greatest people ever, and they've got the greatest venue. So I'm proud to be playing there. It's an annual family reunion. Jackyl will be there, but I'm also celebrating because the new album will be out. My solo album, Breathing Fire. So you can pre-order the vinyl now at JesseJamesDupree.com. Bundle that up, vinyl up with CDs, shirts, whatever you want to. Be streaming it. Go get Never Get Old. Crank it up. Meltdown, man. I love you, man. I appreciate you letting me get on here and share the word about the new record, the new music. Playing with my son, co-written with Brian Johnson from AC/DC. Can't get no more rock and roll than that.
No, you can't. Jesse, thank you so much. We'll see you in a few weeks, and good luck with everything, okay?
Pow.